manufacturing could not be more relevant. Globally, manufacturing is undergoing a massive transformation driven by digital technologies, automation, the Internet of Things, data analytics, and artificial intelligence. These technologies are not just reshaping how goods are produced, they are redefining competitiveness, efficiency, consumer behavior, and preferences and sustainability across the industrial landscape. For Nigeria, this conversation is urgent as the manufacturing sector continues to navigate high production costs, limited access to finance, energy constraints, disrupted and high-risk supply chains, and so on and so forth. These realities call for strategic infusion of creativity and innovation. Smart manufacturing is no longer an aspiration, but a strategic necessity if we must thrive in an increasingly demanding local and global market. This session is designed not only to inform, but also to guide members towards practical, achievable steps for implementing smart manufacturing principles within their organizations. Smart manufacturing holds the potential to do the following. 1, boost productivity by automating repetitive processes and time-consuming processes as well. Cut costs through data-driven resource optimization. Improve product quality standards and consistency with real-time monitoring and precision systems. Strengthen competitiveness by positioning Nigerian manufacturers for local dominance and export opportunities. At MAN, we recognize that technology adoption must be inclusive and scalable. Whether you're a large manufacturer with multiple production lines or a single SME, there is a pathway for you on the journey to Industry 4.0. We are honored to host Professor Rose-Margaret Ekeng-Itua, a distinguished and accomplished scholar. She's a thought leader, an industry practitioner based in California in the United States of America. The professor is renowned for her work on Industry 4.0 automation and sustainable manufacturing systems. She has collaborated with global industries, including automotive, energy, and advanced material sectors to implement smart factory models, IoT-enabled production systems, and workforce upscaling programs. Our expertise will provide us with a rare opportunity to learn from global best practices while conceptualizing the strategies for Nigeria's reality. We are looking forward not only to her insight, but also to benefit from practical hand-holding approach as we take concrete steps towards implementing smart manufacturing, bridge capacity gaps, and create realistic roadmaps for adoption. I encourage every participant to maximize this opportunity. Ask questions and seek practical solutions and ideas you can take back to your factory floors, regardless of the size of your operation, among other industry areas. The association is committed to supporting our members by creating platforms such as this, advocating for an enabling policy environment, and partnering with technology providers and development agencies to accelerate digital transformation of our sector. Let us approach today's discussions with a willingness to take concrete next steps towards smart manufacturing adoption in our respective organizations. In conclusion, I wish to thank our resource person for heeding to our call and my colleagues who have worked tirelessly to make this event possible. Most importantly, I thank you, our dear members, for your commitment to continuous improvement and innovation in the Nigerian manufacturing space. I'm confident that the insights shared today will inspire us all to embrace a new era of manufacturing one that is efficient, lead to competitive global relevance. Thank you all, and I wish all of us a fruitful and impactful session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, DG, for that welcome address. The next thing on our agenda now is to have the citation of our guest speaker, and this will be done by the Assistant Director, Sectoral and Regulatory Affairs Division, Ms. Oluchi Odumuko. You have the floor now.
Thank you very much, Paul. A very good afternoon to DG, sir, and thank you for creating time to join us. And for our guest, Professor Rose-Margaret Ekeng-Itua, thank you for also creating time to join us at this particular time. And to our members, we thank you. But without wasting much of our time, I would want to read the citation of our guest speaker. Professor Rose-Margaret Ekeng-Itua, PhD, is an award-winning professor of engineering, global thought leader, and pioneer in smart manufacturing, Industry 4.0, clean technology, and advanced workforce development. With more than 2 decades of impact across the United States of America, Europe, and Africa, she's the first Black woman in the world to earn a PhD in cybernetics, has been named among the top 100 most influential people in Silicon Valley. That's as at 2025. Often celebrated as the Queen of Industry 4.0 education in Silicon Valley, Professor Itua has designed and led groundbreaking industry-academia collaboration with Tesla, NASA, Google, Microsoft, Intel, and national laboratories. She co-created the Tesla Employee Education Assistant Program and the Tesla Manufacturing Development Program, initiatives that have scaled advanced manufacturing skills to over 100,000 employees and become global models for future-ready workforce training. Beyond Silicon Valley, Professor Ekeng-Itua is equally committed to Africa's industrial transformation. As a founder of the African Technology and Innovation Institute, ATII, she champions innovation-driven growth across Africa, spearheading initiatives in artificial intelligence, sustainable manufacturing, climate resiliency, and women's participation in STEM. She has also partnered with the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO, to expand opportunities for African women in sustainable Africa and clean technology. Her research and leadership focus on artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, sustainable supply chain, hydrogen energy, and decarbonization, offering practical pathways to cost-saving, resilient, and competitive manufacturing systems. Professor Ekeng-Itua bridges Silicon Valley innovation with Africa's industrial ambitions, shaping the global dialogue on how smart manufacturing can drive competitiveness, sustainability, and inclusive growth. Professor Ekeng, please, the floor is yours. Thank you very much, Prof, and thank you for joining us. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Ms. Oluchi Odumuko, for that very kind citation. I'm excited to hear amidst such wonderful individuals today. I am calling in from California in the USA, so it's still dark here. It's still early morning. But before I start my presentation today, I'd like to observe all protocols already observed and to say very big thank you to the DG of MAN, Mr. Segun Ajayi-Kadir, for the kind invitation to give this lecture and spend time with the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria to talk about a really important subject matter which is Smart Manufacturing and Industry 4.0, and how we can implement that in Nigeria. Also want to say thank you to Mr. Paul Adedeji for organizing this event and the kind moderation. So thank you very much, everyone, for being here. And without much further ado, we will start the presentation. Please, Mr. Paul, can you allow me to share my screen?
So if you can go ahead and share your screen.
Thank you. Hope you can all see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so today, just like the DG talked about, we're going to be focusing on smart manufacturing and the possible cost savings that smart manufacturing can bring. The DG so eloquently articulated the importance of smart manufacturing, and I'm like, he has finished my job today. But thank you so much, sir, for setting the stage for this important conversation. So the format of today's presentation will be a lecture presentation, first of all, just really high-level overview of smart manufacturing and the benefits, because the intent is really for everyone here to understand what smart manufacturing is. And then after that, we will have Q&A, where I hope that each person here present representing their company or anyone that is a practitioner in manufacturing can contextualize questions so that I can offer you the right and relevant and appropriate responses and answers that will support you in implementing Industry 4.0 in your own sectors or in your own companies, because smart manufacturing is really broad. So I'm hoping that the Q&A session will really help with contextualized implementation approaches. So the highlights of the presentation today are as follows. First, we'll talk about what smart manufacturing is so that we have that stage set for further conversations around smart manufacturing. We'll take a look at the Nigerian manufacturing sector, just the current landscape, the issues that are there, which I think the DG has already highlighted. And then ways to implement smart manufacturing in Nigeria, and then we'll look at some case studies of cost savings and also success stories tied together. Then we'll segue into the Q&A session for contextualized implementation approaches. But before we get into the topics, would be great to know the folks that are here present. So please, if you could put in the chat your names and which company you represent or which sectoral field you represent in manufacturing. So if we could do that just to get an idea of who the individuals are today on the Zoom call. And that will also help me as I go through the lecture today to contextualize some of the discussions to suit the individuals present. While the chat is going with introductions of individuals present, I will continue. So the first part of today's lecture is going to be about understanding smart manufacturing and what it is. And I'm sure most of you probably before you came on the call, you Googled what smart manufacturing is. So probably you have an understanding of what it is. But anytime I'm giving a lecture on smart manufacturing, I usually start with this question: what is smart manufacturing? What is your understanding of smart manufacturing? And in the various explanations of various definitions of smart manufacturing. But I start with a timeline. because it is important to understand evolutions and progression of manufacturing so that you can really contextualize what smart manufacturing is. So here on this timeline is a timeline of manufacturing, which is pretty much almost everywhere. We started with Industry 1.0. Industry 1.0 in the 1780s, we had Industry 1.0, which was really steam powered type technology. So if you think of the weaving loom, etc., that was steam powered. Then we moved on to Industry 2.0. Industry 2.0 was where mass manufacturing started. And again, some of these contextualizations are historical revolutions in the US. So giving historical revolutions in the US, and then I'll ask all of us, where are we at in Nigeria along this timeline? So Industry 2.1, we had electrical power and we started mass manufacturing. You can, if any of you that have really been into manufacturing, remember the Ford Eva in the US, that was Industry 2.0, where we now started having assembly lines and started having real mass manufacturing. Then we now moved on to Industry 3.0. Industry 3.0 brought about automation, robotics, and this was really triggered by the onset of computers and electronics and chips, where we could now have automation because we could program the chips to have automated systems, and all the manufacturing widgets were automated and there were robots on the manufacturing line. Then we moved to Industry 4.0, which is really smart manufacturing. And I put the arrow there on Industry 4.0 so that we understand what smart manufacturing is. Smart manufacturing is hinged on Industry 4.0, which is hinged on cyber-physical systems. Cyber-physical systems are systems connected on the internet or via the internet. There is really no Industry 4.0 without the internet. And I am laying emphasis on this so that we can very well really understand what Industry 4.0 is and what smart manufacturing is. And so with smart manufacturing, every single device or most devices and equipment on a manufacturing line are connected via the internet, and that can really help with efficiency, productivity, and all the things that I'll be going through shortly. So first of all, wanted to lay the stage for Industry 4.0 so that we understand what smart manufacturing really is. I have another timeline, again, just to reemphasize the progression and the vision of the revolution. We are in an industrial revolution, and the question for us today is, where is Nigeria along the timeline of this industrial revolution? Like the DG eloquently stated, the world is adopting this revolution, this industrial revolution, and in fact, we are already at Industry 5.0, which has more collaboration with robots, and it's pretty much seen as manufacturing is cooperation between man and machines and AI. So the question for us now is, where are we at in this revolution? And please, if people could put in the chat what their thoughts are, because when we have Q&A towards the end, we will go back to this chat and ask ourselves why we're still where we are in this revolution. So question, are we in Industry 1.0? I hope we're not. Are we in Industry 2.0? Are we in Industry 3.0? Or are we in Industry 4.0 or 5.0? And honestly, wherever you are at along this timeline, that is perfectly okay. Because you can pivot from Industry 1.0 to Industry 4.0 or 5.0, or from 2.0, 3.0 to 4.0 or 5.0. And companies here in the US have done that successfully. The likes of Tesla have done that successfully. And later on, I'll give some other use cases and case studies of companies that have pivoted from previous revolutions of 2.0, 3.0 to 4.0 and 5.0. So I hope this sets the stage properly for what manufacturing is and what it is not. So there is no misconceptions because without the Internet of Things, there is no smart manufacturing. So Internet access is crucial. Here, just wanted to highlight some of the technologies that are prevalent in smart manufacturing. And please don't feel you have to adopt all these technologies, because you don't. You can have a piecemeal approach. But typically in a smart manufacturing setting, you would have, of course, the Internet of Things, which is crucial, because without the Internet of Things, there is no smart manufacturing. And so you would have the Internet of Things, which is great internet access to connect your robots, your 3D equipment, and all your other systems, and integrating all of them via the internet to optimize productivity. And there's a bit of cybersecurity there, and all made possible by cloud computing and big data and data analytics. And as I go through the benefits of smart manufacturing or core technologies, again, you will see talk about data and all of these other technologies. But just wanted to give that a graphical illustration so that we understand what smart manufacturing is. And some of you might be wondering, hey, why am I showing augmented reality? And I'll talk about that later, about the digital twin, how we can have digital twin simulated environments of our factories and use that to actually help with maintenance and troubleshooting and predictive maintenance algorithms. So quite a lot in Industry 4.0, but again, we can use a approach for your own particular implementation. You don't have to implement everything for it to be Industry 4.0. So now let's really get into definition of some of these core technologies that they apply to smart manufacturing. Again, yes, this is a lecture giving you all the technical concepts around smart manufacturing. So first of all, we've got holistic smart manufacturing, and as I had mentioned, this has to do with integrating what we call cyber-physical systems, and pretty much cyber-physical systems or any systems that are connected to the internet. Cyber-physical systems have been made possible because of the advancement of the Internet of Things and the increase in IP addresses. I'm not going to start deviating and going into talking about IP addresses, but it's important to mention that, so that in case you're wondering, why has this suddenly come about? Why are we suddenly having this revolution, this Industry 4.0 revolution? It is because we now have infinite IP addresses, which was made possible by a new standard called IPv6. Before we had IPv4, now we have IPv6. And with IPv6, we have infinite number of IP addresses. Pretty much almost every single thing in the world can be connected to the internet. We've got that number of IP addresses, and that is why manufacturing has quickly evolved to Industry 4.0 and 5.0, because every single equipment, every single widget and device can be connected to the internet. and connected to the internet for what reason? Of course, data analytics and automation for efficient production. As you can already hopefully infer, that once we've got all these devices connected to the internet, we're having real-time data monitoring. So that is one of core technologies around smart manufacturing, that you can immediately have data for quick decision making, and that will of course enhance your productivity and efficiency in manufacturing. Smart manufacturing also helps with flexible production systems, again, because you're having real-time data, data being given to you in real time, so that you can pivot and change your manufacturing lines immediately to accommodate the new trends or changes in technology. And again, just sharing about Tesla, this is, or the Silicon Valley here, there is a philosophy in manufacturing is pivot fast. We pivot fast because there'll be changes in trends of technology, changes in tariffs. If you've been listening to the news in the US, also affects manufacturing. With smart manufacturing, we're able to pivot fast and be super responsive to the global trends, to local trends, and to policies and the economic atmosphere or environment that we find ourselves in. And then, of course, supply chain integration with smart manufacturing. We have seamless supply chain integration, where we can real-time monitor inventory in our manufacturing facilities and real-time automatedly get additional supplies from our supply chains or from vendors. So this is done in a smart way. If you're running low of some of your inventory stocks, that can be done smartly, and procurement can immediately procure additional products, materials for manufacturing. And so we do not have to wait and run out of supplies, or just have a manual approach to supply chain. And supply chain is crucial to manufacturing, as we all know. With a blocked supply chain comes blocked manufacturing. So also continuing on with some of the key technologies around smart manufacturing. Robotics is essential in smart manufacturing. Yes, I know I said that Industry 3.0 was actually when we started having automated robots. Well, now in Industry 4.0, which is smart manufacturing, we actually have smart robots. We have robots that are self-maintaining, robots that are self-cleaning, robots that fix themselves. And so we have a reduction of cost there for maintenance cost. And I'll talk about cost savings later. So just wanting to highlight key technologies. So as we are thinking about approaching Industry 4.0, we're considering some of these technologies. I didn't put here in the slide, and maybe I should have put cobots, but I thought for Nigeria, I think let's just deal with robots. But we also have additional advancements for cobots, which are cooperative robots that work closely with humans. Another time we can delve into that. And of course, Internet of Things is crucial. AI is important in smart manufacturing, and we're seeing AI as actually having triggered Industry 5.0. So I know today we are talking about Industry 4.0, but I want us to know that the world has already moved on to Industry 5.0. But AI-enabled systems, again, will help with optimization of manufacturing operations. And of course, crucial is cloud computing and big data. And I think all of us are already in the cloud computing and big data era. We might just manually be uploading our data and doing data analytics manually. But with smart manufacturing, that is done automatically and in a smart and faster, more efficient way. Okay, so just moving along, the next section here is going to be just talking about the Nigerian landscape, which I know most of you are already familiar with. But I'll just run through it a bit, just so that we can also be thinking about what are really the issues we face in Nigeria and how can smart manufacturing really come in to help. So overview of Nigerian manufacturing industry, and I know I'm preaching to the choir when I say this, you already know that manufacturing is key in for Nigeria's GDP. It's a key contributor to Nigeria's GDP and also for employability of our youth. The Nigerian manufacturing ecosystem is dominated by SMEs, which is fantastic. And I say this so that the SMEs present here know that smart manufacturing is a pathway for you. It's not just for the large entities, the large manufacturing companies, but the SMEs can implement smart manufacturing in a cost-effective manner. And in fact, in the US, some of the SMEs actually led the way in the implementation of smart manufacturing. However, Nigeria is still rife with lots of technology and infrastructure challenges, and we'll again talk about how smart manufacturing can actually help with some of these technology challenges. But this is what Nigerian manufacturers face. Additionally, Nigerian manufacturers also face the issue of low productivity because of outdated technologies, high operational cost, unavailability of consistent power supply, and unskilled labor. Again, I'm highlighting these challenges because the good news is that Smart Manufacturing Industry 4.0 can support all of these challenges that we face. For example, energy power with smart manufacturing, it can reduce the cost for energy because it is in fact an energy efficient process. And I'll talk about that later when I give some use cases or case studies of the benefits of smart manufacturing. So wanted to air all the issues that Nigerian manufacturers face. And please, if there are any other challenges that I do not include here, feel free to put those in the chat so that when we go on to our Q&A session, we can look at those challenges and look at how smart manufacturing can actually alleviate some of these challenges and problems that we face. So the DG again excellently articulated his personal vision for manufacturing in Nigeria. He said Nigerian manufacturing should really be seeking a pathway through digital transformation. And smart manufacturing presents that opportunity because with smart manufacturing, you would have enhanced digital tools that would help with increasing production, efficiency, and innovation. You continuously hear me use those buzzwords: efficiency, productivity, and innovation. And that is what smart manufacturing really would help Nigerian manufacturers to achieve. Improved quality, because you have real-time inspection. I know our human eyes are fantastic, and smart manufacturing does not completely eliminate human interference in manufacturing or human presence in manufacturing, but it augments humans' ability when it comes to quality inspection. And so we will have an improved quality because quality inspection is automated. There are clear tight tolerance benchmarks for quality inspection set through smart manufacturing technologies. And so again, that saves cost because we reduce wastage through disposal of our products that quality are not compliant with our quality assurance or quality standards. And that again reduces waste, reduces cost. Cost reduction, I'm sure by now you have all been won over in understanding how smart manufacturing will reduce costs. But again, just emphasizing that it will really reduce a lot of cost from all the conversations we've had, and the supply chain issue, which most of us face, would be eliminated by smart manufacturing, because the smart systems will real-time sniff out where you could get your products at a reduced cost. You no longer need to do it manually. You'll real-time get the best vendors, the best sources for your produce, your materials that you need for manufacturing of your products. And all this is done in a smart manner, an efficient manner, and the supply chain blockage is reduced. So just going on to implementation of smart manufacturing in Nigeria, what that could possibly look like. And again, please, this is quite high level. When we get into the Q&A, which we'll get to shortly, we can now discuss in a more contextualized manner. Mr. Paul told me this lecture is 40 minutes, so it's a bit long, but we'll have about 20 minutes for Q&A. But please continue to take note of the questions that you have as we go along this lecture. We'll have about 20 minutes for Q&A at the end. So implementing smart manufacturing in Nigeria would involve definitely automation and robotics in a smart way, but it would help with streamlining repetitive tasks. Just from anecdotal research, ATII has seen that manufacturing tasks in Nigeria are quite repetitive and oftentimes involves a lot of human presence, which is great. However, that also introduces some latencies in the process of manufacturing. And so with smart manufacturing, which would include robotics and automation, we can eliminate those repetitive tasks. It does not mean getting rid of people that work on those lines. It means augmenting and supporting the work that they do and helping them to be faster, or the processes to be faster and more efficient. Also,
one of the,
sorry.
I told you now, one will read there.
Oh, is somebody speaking to me, Mr. Paul?
No, sorry, just continue. It's unintended interruption, I guess.
Okay, no worries. Thank you. Yes. And also enhancing precision. One of the issues that we saw from some of the research that we saw was just the number of wastage from Nigerian manufacturing due to quality inspection issues, not having an automated or a fail-safe quality inspection process in manufacturing or in our manufacturing plants introduces a lot of errors, a lot of inaccuracies that reduce the quality of the product. So that would be one of the areas immediately that smart manufacturing could really go in and support. So quality inspection, repetitive tasks, and then labor cost. We've talked about lack of skilled labor. With smart manufacturing, that issue can be fixed in real time and also help the cost of labor. And of course, help with increased productivity, and the speed of production would increase, because again, that is another issue that we have seen in Nigerian manufacturing sectors. The rate of production is really slow when compared to what we have in the rest of the world. In the Silicon Valley, and making direct comparisons, but just to give an example, 10,000 Tesla cars can be manufactured in a day. When we look at some of the use cases in Africa, in Nigeria, that the productivity speed there would be like half or 50%. Now with smart manufacturing, Nigerian manufacturing cannot keep to par with the speed of manufacturing that we find across the world, and that increases profitability and reduces overall cost. Also important to identify that another sector that we have identified from just initial research in manufacturing in Nigeria and the implementation of is really for real-time equipment monitoring. And this is, I think, one of the easiest and simplest and fastest ways to implement Industry 4.0 in your companies, to just have real-time equipment monitoring. And that is cheap, just attaching some sensors that can give you real-time data on the state of your equipment, on the state of your manufacturing, can be done tomorrow. So I'm just using this to say that Industry 4.0 should not just be futuristically aspirational. It is something that can really be implemented in your companies tomorrow. And through sensors, IoT devices that can help with real-time monitoring of equipment, and including these sensors, these IoT devices are no longer that cost prohibitive. They're no longer so expensive. They can be implemented and used in a heartbeat. And this, of course, will give you the data you need to make right decisions, to be flexible in your manufacturing, and to pivot and be responsive to the ever-changing ecosystem and trends of the manufacturing world that we find ourselves now in globally, and also be responsive and adaptive to the changing supply chain ecosystem, so that you do not find yourself unable to manufacture your produce because of blocked supply chains. Also in predictive maintenance, Nigerian manufacturers can adopt Industry 4.0 immediately. Again, sensor technology, IoT systems. Sensors are no longer cost prohibitive. I keep repeating that so that we don't think that this is far-fetched. We can use sensors and IoT systems for predictive maintenance. And what would this help with? It would reduce your downtime. So your sensors would real-time monitor when your equipment is ready or is meant to be maintained, but also predict if a fault is about to occur on that particular equipment, and in real time trigger or initiate the request for maintenance. If you do not have your self-maintaining robots, it will trigger or initiate a request for actual maintenance. So for predictive maintenance, this is really critical. We hear from Nigerian manufacturers, well, my manufacturing line has broken down. There's nothing I can do. And then you have a downtime of 2 months, some even 1 year. But if you had smart manufacturing, the sensors there, you would not have occurred the problem of the downtime of 1 year or 3 years and not being able to find the parts to fix a particular manufacturing line or equipment. So immediate application, their implementation for Nigerians. Now, winding down and going to cost savings from smart manufacturing, I put the $ there because manufacturers, at the end of the day, you want to have high profitability margins. Data has shown that companies that have implemented Industry 4.0 smart manufacturing have actually had significant increase in profitability, in productivity. Typical data says that in the first year of implementing Industry 4.0 standards, depending on your company's environment or ecosystem, some companies have had up to 10% increase in productivity. Other companies have had 50% increase in productivity, again, depending, but the margins are from 50 to 10% at the minimum. Others have even had higher productivity, rolling in billions of dollars to those companies. So that is why the world, the Silicon Valley, the rest of the world is fast moving ahead with Industry 4.0. Because it helps their bottom line, as we say it here in America. Again, it is the bottom line. From all the things I've said, and I'll move through this pretty quickly, you can see that it has optimization benefits. Your ERP is optimized, is significantly optimized, and sorry, somebody talking again. Okay, please, could you help me mute the individuals? And lower resource consumptions, because real time, the energy requirements are being monitored and you're having lower cost for energy consumption in your manufacturing line. It will real time let you know which manufacturing line needs more energy at a particular time, which one doesn't need as much energy. So you're not constantly consuming or wasting energy in your manufacturing plant. And of course, this results in reduced cost and enhanced profitability. Smart factories also are really good because they're low energy consumption and energy efficient. They're really good with renewable energy sources like solar, wind, geothermal, etc., and hydrogen, fuel cells to really support the whole sustainable and green industrialization that smart manufacturing boasts to have. So if you're interested in green industrialization, sustainable manufacturing, smart manufacturing is the way to go because it will definitely help with reduced energy cost. I already talked about predictive maintenance, so I'm not going to go over this too much. I think this is one area that Nigerian manufacturers could really immediately, like tomorrow, start implementing Industry 4.0 on. The cost of implementing this around predictive maintenance is low, and you'll have a lot of cost savings for reasons most of you here know, because you have encountered this sort of issues of unnecessary downtime on a manufacturing line and the cost that you bear when you are faced with this. Again, cost savings is quality assurance. I talked about quality assurance before. Quality assurance is crucial, and you will have enhanced cost benefits through improved and enhanced quality control and quality assurance, just giving you immediate areas that you can draw down cost savings. So let's talk about use cases, and then we'll start having Q&As and start having our conversations. So some case studies and success stories. For privacy sakes, I will not necessarily mention the names of the companies, but a food manufacturing company, ATII, here in the US, implemented Industry 4.0, and they had huge energy cost savings. As they implemented Industry 4.0, they switched to their own nanogrid or microgrid, if you want to call it that. They stopped being dependent on the main grid because, believe it or not, I know issues with the main grid and access to electrical energy from the main grid or the national grid. The US faces the same issue. And so what manufacturers here have started doing is to create their own microgrid. And smart manufacturing has enabled them to do that in a cost-effective manner. Building microgrids or building microgrids along an industrial corridor or just their own manufacturing facility. Cost savings that this particular company saw in the first year of implementing smart manufacturing for the reason of saving on energy cost and not being heavily dependent on the national grid or the local statewide grid. They had, I think, if I remember the data, just looking here, $2.8 billion cost savings in 1 year from energy cost. Because yes, in the US too, one of the key costs or the main cost for manufacturers is energy. And so with implementing Industry 4.0, this particular company, it's a food processing company, was able to save about $2.8 billion in energy cost. IoT monitoring. So energy cost, I know, is also a big issue for Nigerian manufacturers. With smart manufacturing, that energy cost can be reduced. Case study B was another company. This was actually an automobile company here in the US, again, for privacy's sake, not mentioning their names, but they were able to save a lot of cost around downtime because they changed their systems to smart manufacturing systems. Their robots became self-maintaining robots, self-cleaning robots, and also had smart manufacturing lines that could immediately trigger the onset of a fault on the manufacturing line or on the equipment. So before the equipment fully broke down, it was triggered and maintenance came in. And the beautiful thing about this also was that they could have the vendors of the equipment from China, from Germany, real-time fix the equipment from Germany and China. They did not have to increase the time of the equipment, waiting for the experts to fly in to fix the equipment, because it was a smart manufacturing system. It's connected via the internet. They could give access to the vendors and the maintenance expert out of country to repair that manufacturing line real time, or at least to keep it in a state of functionality while they fly into the country to complete the maintenance. So again, downtime, because real time, your vendors, folks from all over the world can fix, can repair whatever fault is on the line. When compared to the non-smart system, where you could wait a year, 2 years, 3 months. And so that's another example of an automotive company implementing Industry 4.0 and how they saved cost with that. So the next case study is a textile manufacturing company. In the textile industry, I think with all manufacturing companies, but the textile sector seem to think that inventory management is it for them and logistics. So this was the area that they really wanted to implement smart manufacturing for. And so this textile manufacturing company implemented smart inventory management, and it improved the logistics to no end. And again, I think for this company, just looking at the data I wrote here, it was an SME company here, and they had increased revenue of 5.2 million just from implementing in the first year, just from implementing smart inventory management for their system. They had that sort of high profitability margin or increased revenue through that. And I shared these cases so that irrespective of your sector, your manufacturing sector, or what product you manufacture, you can really start thinking about areas where you have the biggest issues and then start with that area to implement smart manufacturing. You don't have to boil the ocean and want to do smart manufacturing in your entire factory in every single segment immediately. If you have the funds, great, but you can just start with the areas where you've got big issues or the areas that are critical to you. Is it in your inventory management system? Is it in your quality assurance? Is it in maintenance? What is it? Is it in energy? You can determine which of those sectors you want to implement smart manufacturing and then continue to scale up all through the rest of the departments or segments of your company thereafter. So in conclusion, I hope that you will be interested in adopting smart manufacturing technologies. Here at ATII, we are here to support manufacturers to adopt Industry 4.0, to adopt Industry 5.0. If you want to move on to that stage, we hope to continue to partner with MAN on rolling out additional training for any individual interested in actually getting into the nitty-gritties of how to really implement this for your company. We have some additional training that we are rolling out in November. Please, the ATII team, if you could put the flyer in the chat, and I think MAN will also disseminate this, and we hope to have a great partnership with MAN to continue to support manufacturers all across Nigeria. But just wrapping up, smart manufacturing will again help in enhanced efficiency, cost reductions from the examples I've just given. It will also foster innovation so that it doesn't keep you static. Smart manufacturing helps companies be very dynamic in innovation and flexible. So it will foster innovation and also ensure sustainable growth. As the examples I've shown, the revenue increase, revenue generation increase, profitability margin increase, and also helps with sustainable manufacturing and green manufacturing, which is one of the core reasons that I really have become a smart manufacturing practitioner, because it really helps with climate change and green industrialization. Well, thank you very much for listening to the lecture. I hope that you've taken a thing or two with you and have a few takeaways. And the call to action now is for you all to really start thinking about which area in your company you want to really roll out smart manufacturing. What issues are you having, and how can you roll out smart manufacturing? And we are here to support any company that needs additional support with actual rolling out and implementation. But thank you once again, the DG, Mr. Segun Ajayi-Kadir, and also thank you, Mr. Paul and Ms. Zoluchi, for this invitation. I will open it up for conversations now and Q&A. So back over to you, Mr. Paul. I will stop sharing my screen so I can see people better.
Thank you very much, Professor Rose-Margaret Ekeng-Itua, for that wonderful presentation. I believe you've really done justice to the subject matter, even though it's within a short time. I know the main details about how to practically implement this is going to be a discussion beyond this place. However, from the little we have been able to hear you speak, we I believe that there is a future for us in terms of manufacturing in Nigeria, and we can indeed implement these things, even though through phased approaches, we could start integrating these systems into our processes. Thank you very much for the exposition. Now it's time for question and answer session, and I would like us to indicate by a show of hand if we would have any questions to raise with that you would like the guest speaker to address specifically. I would like us to indicate with a show of hand, or you could as well type in your question in the chat box. Thank you.
Waiting for questions in our chat box or by raise of hand. The DG, sir, I don't know if you would need to maybe ask some pertinent question that might help our manufacturers in terms of smart manufacturing. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Oluchi. And again, we can't thank our guest speaker enough. It's actually a very interesting conversation that we hope will ensue from your fantastic presentation. I believe that many of our members that are online would have their expectations met in terms of how it could help the fourth and the fifth industrial revolution will help to mitigate the myriads of challenges that confront manufacturers. And I think this is where our collaboration for the future would lie. There are quite a number of binding constraints that has limited the performance of the manufacturing sector. So from a sectoral point of view, it is innovation that would wind down perennial challenges that government and innovators in manufacturing space have been grappling with. So issues of cost, issues of power, issues of logistics, and I believe that if we continue our partnership, we could even innovate on the regulatory environment, which would allow us to have a full complement of problem solving. So mine is just to say that I believe there is a wide room for collaboration with you, and through you to be able to have a glimpse as to how business membership organizations have also facilitated the adoption of this innovative way of doing things. I believe through you will be able to reach those enablers in your environment. And those are just my initial comments. I believe our members will be able to ask questions, particularly those ones that will relate to their sector, because I also have a feeling that adoption would follow sectoral lines. There are some that are more complex than the other. And we have members that have made attempts at adopting this newer technology. What has your experience been? And in terms of whether you could also have support systems that could make it a lot easier for you to adopt, and what your apprehensions are. So I believe this is an opportunity for us to have clarity on these aspects. Thank you, Oluchi.
Thank you very much, DG, sir. Thank you for the wonderful insights too that you've also told in that line of thoughts. Thank you. And we so much believe that maybe going forward, our members who are so much interested in smart manufacturing, I'm sure they will begin to indicate interest. And then one important thing is that I believe that maybe a possible collaboration with Prof will help us to encourage members to integrate smart manufacturing in a way that is simple, very simple for them to understand and for them to follow through. And so thank you so much, sir. So my question really, before now when we talk to some of our members about manufacturing, especially our SMEs really. So one thing comes to mind, there is this fear of a reduction in employment rate. And as a matter of fact, the manufacturing sector, outside government is the second employer of labor. And so we want to, in a way, demystify will I call it the fear that manufacturing sector will no longer create or generate employment as it is today. Do you have anything to say in that regard, ma'am? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Oluchi, for that question. And thank you, DG, for your earlier comments. Looking forward to future possible collaborations. But to your question, Ms. Oluchi, what I say to my students in my smart manufacturing class every day is, you're right, because manufacturing is the last job that AI can ever take over. You will be the last people standing, because there is no way that AI will completely do the job that we do in manufacturing. Manufacturing is very layered, complex, with lots of different facets and requires hands-on, in-person coordination. So AI, robotics, Industry 4.0, Industry 5.0 will never take away jobs in manufacturing. And in fact, for people listening that are not in manufacturing, get skilled and go into manufacturing. But what we will need to do in the manufacturing sector is to reskill. So what we're doing here now is reskilling our communities, reskilling our students, reskilling the entire workforce, even people that are already in manufacturing, to really ready for Industry 5.0 or 4.0, and also how AI will influence smart manufacturing, or already is influencing smart manufacturing. So the problem will not be elimination of jobs. I think the issue here will be the readiness to train, to reskill individuals for future-proof jobs. Manufacturing is here to stay, and it will outdo AI. The longevity of manufacturing will be it's synonymous with the longevity of AI. But individuals need to be ready to reskill and upskill in the areas of artificial intelligence, smart manufacturing, etc., and not just stay in the old way of manufacturing. If you stay in the old way of manufacturing, that's where possible job losses will occur. If tools, and we have policies and frameworks to train our workforce in manufacturing for the future and present state of global manufacturing, jobs will be retained. And in fact, here, the sector that is hiring the most, for the most part, is manufacturing. We did have a slight freeze because of tariffs, but after that, manufacturing is hiring. So that answers your question.
Yes, thank you so much, Prof.
Yes.
So do we have more questions? I think one other question they've asked, which necessarily it's not difficult or hard, it's if they will get the presentation slides, and we are assuring you, our esteemed members, that the slides will be sent to you. But very important for us is for you to ask very pertinent question. Technology is very important, and just like Prof has said, manufacturing will stand the test of time, but then there's getting the training and there's upscaling will also be an added advantage. So we should not be afraid that technology would take over our responsibilities, but then we should be able to, with the future, while we wait for more questions. Okay, we have Doyle. Doyle, please, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. This is just from the point of commentary. My name is Doyle, Dr. Doyle, the CEO of Blue Seal Energy Group. We have worked with both Man and Professor Rose-Margaret for a very long time. In fact, I would say she's one of the key persons that have been very instrumental in helping us to roll out our factories in Nigeria. We're only at the phase 1 and moving to phase 2. So most of what she has spoken about are the things that we believe Nigeria needs in order to be able to grow the GDP, as she has beautifully outlined, and also for us to be able to domesticate manufacturing in Nigeria. For us as a group, Blue Seal Energy Group, leveraging the type of resources we have in people like the professor and others is the key. And then working with industry stakeholders in collaboration to be able to drive this, we believe is the key to helping Nigeria to become self-sufficient in terms of making available critical industrial, in our sector, for example, chemical raw materials that will drive the industry and keep our assembly lines running. So I think we have keyed into it. We're working with her, and we want to thank her and thank her group. We want to, having even already highly recommended her to Man, we believe that the direction that Man is taking is the right way to go. So once again, thank you so much, Prof. And thank you to the DG and the entire team there, Madam Oluchi, Paul, and the rest of the team, even the support we have received coming to Nigeria to move our manufacturing to Nigeria, and seeing how Nigeria is so open to helping people that are not even on the ground previously to be able to integrate into the industry. We have all but received welcome on every side and support. So thank you so much to Man and then to Prof for all that you do in terms of trying to move Nigeria forward. That's my comment. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Doyle. Doyle, by the way, it's a managing director of one of our member companies, Blue Seal Energy Group. And as a matter of fact, just from what he said, I believe, or we believe as an association, he has already integrated into smart manufacturing. So having said that, there are some other questions, but I wouldn't know if Lady Ada would want to take to her microphone, or would she want us to read the questions? Lady.
Yeah, thank you. Madam Oluchi, just wanted to make a comment on Dr. Doyle Dennis' comment. Thank you very much, Dr. Doyle, for those kind words. And wanted to give shout out to Blue Seal, Dr. Doyle's company, for early integration of smart manufacturing. His manufacturing facility is state of the art, and they continue to implement smart manufacturing technologies incrementally in their manufacturing facility. But amazing work they've done and great leadership, Dr. Joel. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, Oluchi, I think there are quite a number of questions in the chat room. So I thought you were asking Lady Ada if you want to voice it, or
yes, sir.
As you would like that you read. Yes.
Okay, sir. Okay, so one question is, what is the typical cost range for small or medium manufacturers to start integrating digital technologies? Prof, would you want me to read all the questions, or do you want to take them one after the other?
I think one after the other would be great. But
Okay.
I see her question, Lady Ada's question. She's got two questions in the chat. And then,
Yes.
okay. So I can talk about her first question. Once again, this is on a case-by-case basis. So I cannot like say, well, for this SME, this is how much it's going to cost, because we need to do a landscape analysis on that particular SME and look at some of their manufacturing protocols and practices and then advise accordingly. But like I said in my presentation, my advice for SMEs that are not awash with funding is to have a piecemeal approach. Dr. Doyle has taken on that sort of approach, a piecemeal approach in his integration of smart manufacturing. And so a piecemeal approach would be to identify what are the key pain points that my SME is facing right now. Is it inventory management? Is it quality assurance? And we take that, dissect that, and look at how you can have a low-cost implementation of smart manufacturing. For those particular areas, it might just be a case of having some smart IoT devices to monitor your inventory, etc. And I don't want to call numbers here because those numbers might not be correct, but I think maybe the underlying thing from that question is, hey, is this thing too expensive for me? And I'm saying it's not too expensive. You can have a piecemeal approach. So don't let the cost scare you off from implementing smart manufacturing.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. I don't know if that answers her question, but moving over to the second question. Are there financing windows from DFIs, Afrexim Bank, AFDB, or BOI to support Industry 4.0 adoption in Africa? Would you want to answer that, Prof?
Not speaking on behalf of them, but just as someone in the ecosystem and that space, there is some funding, which I think BOI is churning out through some entities for training. And also FDB, African Development Bank, has some initiatives through some other entities to support SMEs in innovative manufacturing. So if you want, we can actually create a list of possible funding opportunities for SMEs in Nigeria and share with the group. But overall, there are some little funding out that can support some SMEs in scaling up manufacturing or getting into what they call green industrialization, which smart manufacturing is definitely part of, or innovative manufacturing, which smart manufacturing is. So I think we can take that on and then just share the list with the members if that's okay.
Thank you, Prof, for your response. I'm sure we'll be glad to receive that list of funding opportunities for smart manufacturing.
Yeah, and then just going back to the other question Lady Ada had, and just right off the bat, if you're a really small SME and you want to, for example, implement Industry 4.0 in your inventory management, and your inventory is pretty much like less than 1 million inventories or produce in your inventory, you can really implement Industry 4.0 with about $5,000 in that sort of small ecosystem. Again, the cost can even go down depending on your particular case. Yeah, but just wanted to throw out a number is for sort of benchmarking. Yeah, but we can move on to the next question.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. The next question is like the one that you've just responded to, and that's about the cost effectiveness. So be that as it may, so maybe I would need to read the next question, and that says, given Nigeria's challenge with power supply and internet connectivity, What are the minimum infrastructure requirements to make smart manufacturing viable in Nigeria? Thank
Another
you.
great question. Thank you for that question. So from the presentation, I'm sure maybe you've inferred that you need two critical infrastructure. You need power and you need the internet. And so that is why, like I shared, the use cases here in the US, some of the companies moved to creating their own nanogrids. And that would be an approach that I would recommend for Nigerian companies to have their microgrid or nanogrids, and also stable internet. So you need stable internet and you need your nanogrid. Now, I'm sure the next question will be, well, what's the bandwidth? What's the Wi-Fi internet bandwidth that you need? What is the amount of electrical power that you would need? That would be on a case-by-case basis. And for companies that sign up for the training that we've just put in the chat, we will do some hand-holding and guide you on a case-by-case basis to really look at how to roll out Industry 4.0 in your particular company. But stable power is needed, and that would come in form of renewable energy, just creating a nanogrid, and it's not that expensive. I know once people hear nanogrids, microgrids, they think it's super expensive. It's not that expensive to roll out. And then also stable Wi-Fi. That is critical. And we can definitely look into case-by-case basis for those that come on for the additional training.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Thank you for your response to that question. So the next one, it's ATII shared infrastructure models, example for industrial clusters or mini grids that can lower cost for multiple manufacturers. This is in terms of having some infrastructure for clusters.
Yes, I'm going to answer that shortly, but I also remembered something else for the other question. So someone talked about funding when it comes to energy, supporting green industrialization and manufacturing companies. GIZ has some funding. Again, we will include this in our list that we will share. In the summer, I think in August, we had an Industry 4.0 summit, and we invited the energy expert from GIZ to come and talk about how GIZ is supporting industrialization in Africa from the energy perspective, which is key. And she gave an amazing talk on that. And so as we're talking about energy, I just remembered, yes, GIZ is really interested in helping Africa with energy for SMEs in manufacturing. So, but we'll share that information with you later. To this other question, just creating industrial clusters. Whoever asked the question seems like you're living here in the Silicon Valley, because that is in fact the approach. Because this piecemeal approach of each company doing their own thing can work, but what works even better is having an industrial cluster. So we have industrial avenues, we have an industrial boulevard here. And so companies come together and create their nanogrid or their microgrid, have their internet infrastructure so that they can have the robust infrastructure needed for smart manufacturing. Though there's a little bit of capital investment, not that much when everybody comes together, but the revenue, the profitability margins that they're seeing is through the roof and definitely worth it. So my own recommendation would be where possible, and we're going to be working with MAN on this, hopefully, to really look at the entire ecosystem of Nigerian manufacturing and recommend how we can really create those clusters in Nigeria, have industrial windows. I think Lagos already has quite a lot of those industrial windows or industrial clusters, and see how they could collectively come together to create those nano microgrids. Because waiting for a national grid will not work. Even here in the US, where we've got stable electrical supply, electrical energy supply, manufacturers that are adopting Industry 4.0 are not waiting for that. Because with Industry 4.0, their energy consumption reduces, so they don't necessarily need as much electrical power from the national grid as they used to. They're okay with their micro and nano grids.
Well, thank you so much, Prof. And one last question before we round up the webinar. And that question is, with the advent of artificial intelligence, how can we practically marry AI to smart manufacturing 4.0? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Great question again. With Industry 4.0 and especially Industry 5.0, AI is embedded. You cannot have Industry 5.0 without AI, and in fact, Industry 4.0 without integrating some AI. And so right off the bat, we see AI used in the real-time data analytics. So you heard me talk about real-time monitoring of your equipment, etc. Now the sensors that we have what we call edge AI. So the sensors are so advanced, and we have embedded AI on the chips, on the sensors. So as you're implementing those sensors, attaching them to your equipment, we have AI algorithms on the chip, on those sensors, that real processing all the information, processing the data, and giving you real-time data analytics. Now, Edge AI, I could give another lecture on Edge AI, but just to say that Edge AI, the revolution for Edge AI, which is actually AI on the chip, AI on the hardware, not just the software, is great for Africa because it reduces the need for continuous internet access, because prior to that, where we had our sensors and then AI on the software, you had to have continuous connectivity, increased bandwidth for the amount of data that will be churned out to the cloud. But with Edge AI, the data is real time on that processor, and then intermittently it will spur it out to the cloud. But it can real time still give you information required for you to have immediate data analytics and make the critical decisions you need to make for your manufacturing line. Also for inventory keeping, we've got Edge AI embedded in those chips. And so real time, it will process the data without using up your bandwidth, your internet bandwidth, so to speak, and give you the important data that you need for data analytics. So those are ways that immediately see AI incorporated in Industry 4.0 is through what we call Edge AI on the sensors, or AI already incorporated on the chips. But if it's the software end of AI, using it again for data analytics, whether with whatever platform you have, whether it's an Oracle platform, Excel, Access, AI is used there. But my recommendation moving forward for Africa, for Nigeria, is Edge AI. And that's why I'm super excited about the advancement for Edge AI on the chip, because it's exactly what we need on the continent in manufacturing, healthcare, agriculture, the lot.
Thank you very much, Professor. You have really dealt with this topic of smart manufacturing beyond what we could previously imagine, and we are looking forward to having more fruitful conversations. And I could see that there was another question about power supply, which you have already attended to. So without taking much of our time anymore, I think I would like to invite the Director General of Mine again to give us the closing remarks. Meanwhile, the conversation will still be ongoing, as we would send a feedback form after this meeting to all participants so we can have an idea of how you would want to take the next steps towards implementing smart manufacturing in your facilities. So it's time for the closing remarks by the Director General. Thank you. DG, sir.
All right, thank you, Paul. And thank you, everyone. On behalf of all of us, Prof, I'd like to thank you for the time you have spent with us. I'm sure from the reaction of our members, you will see that there's a readiness and an understanding. There's a readiness and an understanding that that is the way to go. With the peculiarities in our manufacturing environment, we do know that there has to be solutions that are developed and actively promoted by the association in partnership with organizations and individuals like you, so that we can co-create an atmosphere that allows us to be able to scale, to be able to become more profitable, and for us to be able to be more modern, really, in terms of our production trajectory. We have what is before us, the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, which has brought competition much closer and, of course, more affordable, if I may use the word. So it is for us to scale. It is for us to improve on our systems. It is for us to prepare ourselves for competition globally. So we thank you for sparing time. And going forward, I'd like to assure our members who have been asking whether they will have access to the presentation, of course, and we shall also open the platform for our members to be able to reach out to us so that we can aggregate the next steps and be able to go it in a way that we have our members maximally benefiting from the process. And like we said before, we would also like a situation where we do not have this as a one-off collaboration and relationship with you. It is something that we are happy to travel with you on this track for us to be able to upscale manufacturing. Incidentally, MAN is also leading the establishment. We have established it actually, the Pan-African Manufacturers Association, which is an aggregation of the manufacturers associations across the continent, and for companies that have more than one footprint in an African country. So this is a message that will go beyond this conversation we've had, and we will be happy to, as usual, lead the process of expanding the adoption, particularly because we know that it's not a replacement of human beings who we have in many numbers in Africa and are deserving of jobs, but should be skilled jobs, and those ones that can maximize value delivery in the continent. So I'd like to thank you for taking your time and for the beauty of your presentation, which is lucid and well understood. And for our members who have spared time, I thank you for always supporting us in everything and also ensuring that you allow us to help you grow your business. We continue to strive to create an environment that is conducive for manufacturing business, and we assure you that there will be many more of this. I'd like to thank Oluchi and her team, Paul, and all of us, my colleagues. Thanks for this support. That we match to the demand of the future, And I say that there are greater tasks ahead. Thank you very much, and do have a pleasant evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much.
everyone, and have a pleasant evening. Thank you, Prof, and thank you,
Thank you.
Lady Ada, and
Thank
Dr.
you very
Boy.
much.
Thank you, sirs. Thank you, ma.
Thank you, Oluchi.
Thank you.